Refactoring means improving the design of existing code. And while you're doing that, you're not supposed to change the behavior or the functionality of that code. And if you actually make a mistake, that could be a bug and mean unhappy users. So Martin Fowler was well aware of the problem of introducing bugs while refactoring, and that is why in his book, all the descriptions of his refactorings come with a list of steps to follow, so you can do that refactoring as safely as possible. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the steps of replace command with function, which is also known as instance to static, so that you can learn to do it safely in small steps too. Hi, I'm Emily Bache. I'm a software developer. I'm creator of Salmon Coaching. Welcome to my channel. So static or class methods or freestanding functions, they have some advantages, especially if they're also a pure function without dependencies or side effects. Because these kinds of functions are self-contained, they're easy to move to another class or a module, and easy to test for that matter. Often I find myself using my refactoring tools to convert an instance method on a class into a static function in preparation for moving it to another class, and from there it might well turn back into an instance method. And my goal is often just to improve cohesion and reduce unwanted coupling. So today I'm going to show the particular steps for that first part, converting a Java instance method into a static function. Martin Fowler explains these steps in his book Refactoring, and I find it useful to go back to the basics and really know what the steps are. So when you're faced with complex legacy code with poor test coverage, the safest strategy is to be very conservative when you're refactoring and to know your tools and their capabilities really well. So I think it helps to practice on an exercise like this so that you've got some idea about what your tools are capable of and you can practice using those small safe steps. I'm going to show a demo now in Java with IntelliJ, following the steps from Martin Fowler from his book. And I'm also going to be using something called risk-aware commit notation, which is a way for me to keep track of which of the steps of this refactoring are more risky than the others. So even if you're using other tools or different programming language, I hope you'll be able to follow my steps and perhaps take on this risk-aware commit notation for when you're refactoring. I'm trying to inspire you to use your tools more effectively and refactor more safely. Today I'm working in the Yahtzee refactoring kata, which is a very nice exercise because there's lots of things here which need refactoring, but you have pretty good unit tests to catch any mistakes you might make, which makes it a good playground for practicing. I've just actually collapsed all the code so that you can see all the method signatures here in the Yahtzee code. And they're wildly inconsistent. There's loads of static functions, but also a few instance methods in the middle mixed in. And all of these functions effectively are doing very similar things. They're all calculating the score in a particular category in the game of Yahtzee. And I won't bore you with the details of the game, but basically it's a dice game. You roll 5 dice. And fours is one of the categories, and that is one of those instance methods that I think I could make into a static method, and then it would be really consistent, and I could do the same for these 3 as well, and then all the methods would be static, and that would be consistent. I could also decide that I wanted to convert all the static methods to instance methods, and that would also be consistent. Maybe I'll do that another day. But today I'm just going to do this refactoring instance to static, and it's one of the refactorings in Martin Fowler's book. He calls it replace command with function, which is perhaps more generic than instance to static, works in more programming languages, but it's the same thing. Now, I took the liberty of writing up the instructions for the how to do this refactoring on the Salmon Coaching website here, and I'm going to try and follow these instructions now when I'm showing you how to do this. And the first thing is to identify the command you want to turn to a function and find the places it's used, because we want to basically combine all of those to call the same static function. So let's just check. So here's my fours method that I want to convert to a function, and I can see all its usages. They're all in the tests. This is an exercise. If in real code, of course, there'd be places perhaps all around the code, not just in the tests. And there might not even be any tests. But anyway, this is an exercise. But I'm going to show you the steps to follow. So the first one is to extract a function for that calls both the object constructor and the method on that object. So I've just done that with my tools, get fours, so I should commit that. Extract function. Now, from here, I actually want all of the other usages to also call this function, but I can't quite do that yet because they are passing a different set of arguments to the constructor, and this doesn't take any arguments yet, so I need to give it some parameters. So I'm going to use the introduce parameter refactoring, and it's noticing that I'm using the number 4 in lots of places, and that's why it's offering to replace multiple occurrences, but I don't need that right now. I just want to do this one. That's a D1. So I've got a new parameter here. I'm going to do the others as well. Replace this one and this one. And at this point, it's noticed duplication because all the 3 calls to this Yahtzee constructor were very similar, and the last 2 arguments were the same. And it's saying, I've spotted, it's a duplicate. I could replace this now. And this is great, except I'd actually want to finish what I was doing and have parameters for all 5. So I'm going to say no, not yet. But that's going to be useful when I've got all 5 of them done. So there's the 4th one. And again, it's saying, do you want to replace the duplicates too? And I'm like, not quite yet. D5. So that's the 5th parameter now. And at this point, I'm like, okay, yes. Now that is exactly what I want to do. I want to replace all the calls to the construct and this fors method with a call to my new static method. So thank you, tool, for suggesting I do that. And now I've got some code that works. The tests are passing. Good moment for a commit. So I didn't extract function here. I did introduce parameter. Introduce 5 parameters and reuse the function in more places. So this is looking good. Let's just check the instructions for this refactoring. So the next step there was what I just did, introducing the parameters. And then the next move it's saying is, well, it's optional, but you might want to consider now moving this static function to a more convenient place. And it's suggesting the class of the object that it's constructing. So that seems like a good move to me. So I'm going to do that, move it over to the Yahtzee class. And the tool does that for me pretty safely. So there's the call and the test, and it's now going over to here. And my tests are passing, so let's just commit that. That was a safe move function. And now I've done that, let's see what the instructions say next. Oh yeah, it's making sure that all the places that should be replaced with this new function are calling it. So I did that already. My tests are all passing. And now it's a question of inlining. So first inline the call to the command. So that's the command. But before I do that inline, I think it's going to make the code a little bit neater if I first introduce a variable for the object instance. I'm calling that y. It doesn't have a very big scope. It's not going to live long. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to inline this. It's giving me lots of options here for the inline. Do I want to inline everything and remove the method, or should I just keep it? And at the moment, I'm going to keep the method because I might want to refer to it while I'm doing the rest of this refactoring. So I'm going to keep it there. So that's inlined the call here, and let's just expand it so you can see the 2 next to each other. It's just replaced that call with the contents of the method. And you can see that it's using the instance of Yahtzee here to get out the dice. So let's just make a little commit for that. So here I did inline method. So that was the next step in my instructions. And then it says inline the call to the constructor and instead use parameters directly. So what it means here is basically that's the data member that I'm using, but I've got all of that, the contents of that dice array comes from the arguments here to this function, and I want to use them directly rather than via this data member. In order to achieve that, I need to basically inline the constructor because the constructor turns these arguments into that dice array. But if I try and just tell it to inline the constructor, the tool says, oh no, sorry, can't do that. So I have to do it by hand. So here's the constructor. And obviously you're looking at this and thinking, there's other ways to do this. I mean, that this code is bad. But I want to show you basically the steps. How do you inline a constructor? So I'm just going to copy the contents of the constructor and paste it here. And then I have to fix it up so that it works. That needs to be a local variable here rather than the data member. And then, of course, the test is saying, what's that? What's that? That's the fifth argument. For some reason, it's called _5 instead of D5. Rather than fixing that now, I'm just going to get on with what I'm trying to do. So that gets the code back to a building state. I have inlined the constructor. And now I've got this local variable that I can use instead of that data member. And that should still work. And then this is no longer used. It's gone grey. So I should be able to just remove it. And it's warning me, are you sure? And I'm not worried about that. So just delete it. Okay, so I'm back to green tests and I've completed the inline of the constructor. So I'm going to commit that, but that definitely wasn't an automated safe refactoring. So I need to use a different symbol for that. I at least followed some steps and tried to do it carefully. So the risk I tried to minimize, but it wasn't as safe as if I had the tools to do it. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. We have got a static method for calculating fors. And if we go and look at our list of steps, we've got here tests all passing. And the last thing is removing any dead code and generally cleaning up. So we do have some dead code. If you remember, I kept the fors method here in case I needed to refer to it while I was, inlining it and fixing stuff up. But it's not being used. So this is dead code and I can safe delete it. And my tool can do that. So delete dead code. And then the only remaining cleanup I can see is that the name of this method getFors isn't consistent with the names of the other methods. And we've got methods like 1s, 2s, 3s, getFors. Yeah, no, let's just rename this to be the same as the others. Fors. And rename method. And I think we've completed the refactoring that I set out to do, which was to convert this fors instance method to a static method. And there is loads more refactoring that I could do here. This implementation is, there's a lot wrong with this, but I've completed the steps of the refactoring I wanted to show you. So that was replace instance with static or replace command with function. Now you've seen me do this refactoring, why don't you give it a try yourself? The code for the YATC1 kata is available on my GitHub in loads of different programming languages. And if you'd like to learn more refactoring skills, do check out the Saman Society website, where you can find additional materials and inspiration, sign up for our newsletter and find out more. I'd also like to thank my Patreon subscribers for supporting this channel and making the work of the Society even more possible. Thank you, and happy coding!